Hello, everyone. Well, I should say good morning. It's early in the morning and it's a new year. And this is a yearly thing to make these beyond videos of some ideas for the year ahead. Sort of like a first crystallization and alignment of what I see ahead for my family, first and foremost, but also in the general. This time I won't be talking much about the general ongoings as it's already out there in the known. On YouTube there are just a few channels left which are interesting, and those are backup channels or new ones made by the from those people whose channel got deleted, as almost everyone is over at BitChute and other platforms, and BitChute is working well, improving every day. So there are those channels who are doing a very fine presentations for which I don't see the need to kind of expand on here and add to the imagery, which is easy to do when you know there are things wrong, and there are always things that are wrong in the world. And also I've mentioned these things before, so let's just focus on what matters. We matter, you matter, and those around you matter. Change is always born from where you stand and act. The world is a struggle, a never-ending one. If you can find a good foundation within, you won't be dragged down and utter any kind of nonsense like all is lost or there is no way out. Finding a good place within yourself aligns you to the natural state, and that is, besides the nice stuff in life, also struggle and call for action. That is the natural state. The conceptual idea of applying whatever delusional idea we might have about the perfect way of living, of organizing people and society, and when we do that and try to see our idea as the solution for each and every place and for all of us, that's where delusion starts. That's why the international situation is what it is, because especially today, where one thing or one way is applied everywhere, in every corner of the world, or at least aspired to be applied everywhere. But let's just, for the sake of this video, say that my wife and I are very happy we are in Sweden during these manufactured events everywhere, especially as a family. Just an interesting thing, the High Court or the Supreme Court in Bosnia actually ruled that maskophilia and curfew and all the limitations were actually against the basic human rights. However, due to the corruption and the power of some smaller but determined groups that exist in every country, in every government, that Supreme Court ruling will not be implemented or I guess adhered to. But it's interesting to note that it actually, at least in some way, acknowledged that what's going on is against the human rights. So, but for us here in Sweden, we are happy. One can just look at what some countries are doing to their children, well, even to infants. Let's just say that many families and their children, well, at least enough of them, will be mad later on when they realize how they were treated. I mean cheated. Well, both. It's always a battle for the 10% of active people. The rest follows suit, so to say, and we have not the same liberties as we had some decades ago. But so we have an uphill, but that's a challenge. Take it. or whine like a loser. That's your time given here. The choice is yours, it's ours. So, okay, for this year, the border crises are beyond my control, so my focus is on spending time in the beauty of Swedish nature and hopefully in Bosnia too. And for you who follow me here, you'll remember that in the past summer I decided to make this year, 2021, a wandering year, and those plans remain, and I've prepared all the economical and practical stuff. But since hopes for visiting Norway are small, I really feel lucky for the lovely trip there in 2019. Anyway, there are adventures ahead, at least compared to the year that just passed. These trips will be done solo, with my family, or with one member at the time. It all depends on what's practical for the time being. But we'll be getting out often and as often as we can. As I'm recording this now in the morning of the 6th of January, I hope I might get out on some trip like as soon as possible, but probably late February, March, depending on the weather. But the first ones will be happening around that time. So off to other relevant things for this year, which I want to mention and remind you of. Remember that we live in the 21st century and that knowing how to apply a safer use of devices, like smartphones, laptops, and so on, is crucial, okay, for us, but for our children. Do you want your child to be a teenager today or in 10 years and not know how to change the settings to increase the privacy on the device they are using? Or to be aware of how data is, flung around? Do you want to have future children that don't have common sense while using all of the so-called Internet of Things to come? Remember that we were brought up with the common sense stuff, and now we have to expand on that to include an orientation for the daily devices and the public realm in which it plays out in. Another important and timely thing is cryptocurrencies. To learn how to handle a crypto wallet, to know how to buy, transfer, acquire, send crypto. It might seem obvious, but I'm mentioning this in regards for our children. And imagine the benefits of a teenager who can handle cards, cash, and crypto. These aspects of online security, crypto management, and just the general kind of common sense within this digital realm. And it is intensifying, so it is even more important for our children to be aware and learn about this as we learned our common sense behavior when we were children. Because this will not be taught in school, and when it's mentioned in school, it will be too late and too sloppy. And most parents are not good on this, and even more parents don't know anything about this. So to get an upper hand and kind of educate yourself and people around you, I'm just throwing it out here to have a look, learn about this. I'm not an expert. I know a thing or two. I'm a digital nomad, and I'm still learning, and it's really fun, especially when you come to an area which you are not really good at and it's new, because when something is new, the learning curve is it's really exciting. So being a role model and hero for our children is important, but also to be aware of the world we are living in and such. And it's kind of mesmerizing, because the gap of knowledge and like a child is kind of analog, and they have to get introduced to these devices and how it works, and then they slowly will kind of get more advanced, and one has to kind of remind you oneself, how did I get into it? How did I learn about this? What helped me understand it? And yeah, it's a fun challenge, I guess. But the most important thing is to, as with children, is to be doing something because they do as you do, and you have to be the role model. And yeah, they have to see that it's working, it makes sense, and it's smart, and it's it has integrity. Otherwise, it's something that parents do and children are not interested in. So that's why one has to be a hero and a role model for one's children. And I'm mentioning this because, yeah, 2021, it's one of the focus areas in my life to kind of reorganize and further educate myself in more online stuff. And this leads me to another important piece of this picture. Information. Information is crucial. Remember that platforms can be ruined overnight. If you have a stash of PDF books, audio, and video material, you can always share that. You can always back it up. And we don't need to have a big printing factory to share our information like it was needed 100 or 50 years ago. It's a smoother process now, so there's no room for excuses. Imagine if YouTube was all there was, which is not the case at the moment. Imagine how much information would have been gone by now, removed to a back room in our memories of having seen and heard something, but it's not there. There are countries that have this total monopoly of information, so yes, new platforms are emerging, but you and me are responsible for safekeeping the material we think is of great help and value for someone in 10 or 20 years ahead, to understand what happened, or in case, just to safeguard material that might get completely banned. And so this 2021 Beyond Video is kind of online oriented, I guess. So I'll try to leave that conversation for now. Obviously, I've been working now, so it's kind of on my mind, and this is just on the top of my head. You see, I'll leave that conversation for now. There's much beauty in life, in the analog life. Candlelights. I'm in the kitchen now, and I have candlelights. It's cozy. Books are nice. Stories to be told, and just an instrument and a voice and a kind of spontaneous theater at home with your family and such. Pure, happy analog way of having fun. And I have been looking at a lot of vintage footage from like 100 years ago, and I can't say anything about it at the moment because it just moves something in me. Kind of reminds me of something, because I've seen this footage before, but not as much as lately. I do it because there's a beauty to them. The elegance people had, the all-around natural dignity, and the way they dressed. I showed these videos, this footage to my daughter. I also showed her photos of my, our complete family, all kind of random from the old photo archives. And she appreciated that. And I could see her mind expanding while realizing the changing of time, which affects people that she knows. And she saw her, grandmother when she was young. She kind of peeked into that past, in a sense, and realized that she's part of something and things have existed and happened before which she's connected to. So we had a beautiful moment, and it's dark outside, and yeah, it's nice. What else to do on a constant cloudy season? The days are cloudy all the time here with low-hanging clouds and darkness. So yeah, one has to kind of spark up something from within. And just to mention, these footages, these old videos, I think, I'm part of that generation. I can still remember the analog childhood, and I can remember older people back then, who had their woolen winter coats, the smell of their non-digital analog calming living room, maybe some tobacco smell, just all around, nothing digital. The way the archaic furniture, clothing, and porcelain cups gently clinked over the conversations that I overheard. That's a sensation of something very past. It can't be relived. Although here in our home we have our main room, it's very analog. It kind of looks like well, it feels and looks like something from the past. We try to have that old feeling to it. Yeah, and we don't have a television. I haven't had a television since I moved away from home years ago. When we watch something, we take out the computer or the screen and watch things. We enjoy that too. But so anyway, those childhood conversations that I overheard over the clinking of the porcelain and the vintage smell and sensations, it might have been just rubbish and all nonsense, but the focus and intensity was different. You met and you engaged with one another face on. So that is something I kind of relive here in our room, which is without all of these devices and televisions and such. So my focus for this year, 2021, will be the cultivation of what is within my reach. At some points we are informed enough to kind of make an opinion or a set of guidelines in our head about things which we are interested in and things that we are seeking. Then the time comes for your own moves. Don't consume what you don't want to promote, and focus on what's in line with your own like. Time is valuable, so burn it well. Anyway, there's enough time for more videos in this year to come. I just wanted to make this one the first, and I hope you have a good day, and that you're doing well, and that you feel and really good about turning the page and starting on a new year, a new calendar. And it's always a good feeling. For me, that comes mostly when from the darkest day, the winter solstice, because from that point you kind of align and set ahead for the year to come, where you want to be, where you want to align yourself with. So in this video I'll say thank you for listening in, and I wish you all the best. See you soon. Ciao.